I'm going to present a few thoughts to you today. It may not be groundbreaking or necessarily innovative. And maybe many of you are aware of some of the positive developments that have been going on in the space. I think there's just been literally just panic the last few days, and I think it's very easy to lose sight of some of the important developments. Could someone close the doors over there? Any chance? All right, there we go. As a macro investor, which I have been and was for the last 25 years, I'm very used to looking at very big picture things, looking at things from 20,000 feet. And, that is our approach at 10T. We're a private equity fund that focuses only really on mid-stage companies that are a bit larger, only in the crypto blockchain space. And so what I thought today I would do is just take you through some slides that show you, that there is quite a tremendous amount of growth going on underneath the hood, right? So it's not just all about the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum and everyday's activity. So let's see if... So again, I did this a few days ago, and the point of this really was just to show you that there's still tremendous appreciation in many of the underlying cryptocurrencies from January 21. And some of them up thousands of percent, and coming from the traditional world, the TradFi world, to have an asset that you own that is up 1,000% in the past 18 months normally is a pretty good thing. I understand many of these are down 70, 80% from the highs, but there's still tremendous embedded value in the overall ecosystem. We at 10T, I'm not making a bet on any specific chain or cryptocurrency. We've built a portfolio of about 20 companies that we believe are leveraged to the overall growth in the ecosystem. So we don't bet on specific cryptocurrencies, but a lot of value has been created and is there. Another interesting thing, and I think this is very recent, just in the last, I would say really 6 to 12 months, is that you do have this Web2 interest to move into Web3. I mean, these aren't words that we even used a year ago, but now we're using them. There was no Web3 as far as I knew a year ago, but now they call it that. And I think it is interesting that the traditional guys are trying to figure out a way to harness the technology, is how I would call it. Again, not interested so much in the day-to-day moves, and lots of business opportunity around this shift. So here's another, again, a lot of my charts you'll see are going to be moving from the left up to the right, which is sort of the point of this whole discussion. You can see here on-chain wallets holding more than 0.1 is basically at an all-time high. So, again, the price has had some problems, but the underlying demand is still there. And here, a similar chart, percentage of Bitcoins held for 1 year plus, still at an all-time high and at a high level. This is just as... There was no really VC. I don't really consider myself VC, more as a private equity investor looking at these larger companies, as I said. But you can see the capital, huge amount of embedded money of value still in the space. And again, from 18 months ago, a huge rise. So this might surprise some people. I mean, we see Coinbase's stock is down at 40 today. Their volume has dropped. But the number of verified users has continued to increase. So, interesting that basically, despite all of this carnage, you still have interest, and it's increasing from the left to the right. This is another interesting chart, futures volumes. And again, the ETH future is something that's been added that's new. The Bitcoin futures have dropped a little bit in volume. But, I look at this backdrop, and we're in this deep bear market in the traditional assets and also in crypto, and you're still basically holding at a relatively high level. So it just shows you that, you know, people aren't abandoning this world. I mean, I get a lot of questions about, oh, you know, do you think, what happens to all your investments if this world goes to zero? I mean, I think it's practically impossible, and I think some of these charts would also confirm that this is an ecosystem that's large, lots of value, and growing. And the same thing here, options. You know, it's up significantly from 18 months, 24 months ago, holding at a decent range. Again, it's this sort of bigger picture, macro perspective that I want to bring to your attention, that the moves that we've had in the space in the last 2 years are really, I mean, astronomical, and you won't see these kinds of moves in the traditional world anywhere. This is, you know, almost a funny-looking chart. We know this. You know, interest in NFTs, of course, has exploded, and essentially at an all-time high. And I don't think these 2 million people are disappearing overnight. You know, maybe the NFTs have been, some of them have been dropping in value. But again, the buy-in to the space, from my perspective, has really just only gone in one direction. And this is another interesting, just made a new high just now, even amidst this massive bear phase, right? And this is their curated set. I think it's the first 8 NFTs that were minted by ArtBlocks, and just now made an all-time high. Some of that is the drop in Ethereum, but honestly, this world didn't exist, again, a year ago, and I don't really see it disappearing. A good sign of a strong sense of confidence here. Another, again, left to the right chart, this world didn't exist even 2 years ago, and you can see number of GameFi protocols by chain. We think this is a new, interesting area that is going to continue to grow, and we may see adoption. We may see, you know, I would say almost adoption come through these different avenues. One is gaming. Before I mentioned Web 2 to Web 3. You know, I think a few years ago, many people were thinking that adoption was going to come, adoption was going to come via institutions buying Bitcoin or buying Ethereum. And that actually is not what's happening. A lot of this institutional adoption is happening in different ways. DeFi, we have, of course, stable coins, you know, didn't really exist. And again, it's almost the same theme and relatively high level. I think this is a fascinating area. Would love to find more investments in this area. I don't think stable coins are going, the value held in the stable coin world is only going up. And again, remember, I come from a world where, you know, I spent 25 years looking at traditional markets, looking at charts like these. These kinds of charts don't exist in the old world. None of them. There's nothing that grows from 0 to hundreds of billions in a 2-year period. So I know it feels bad today with positions and everything, but just keep this in mind. The amount of Bitcoin locked on Ethereum. For me, this is important. It's just that, you know, Bitcoin is really what I would call true collateral. And so the Bitcoin on Ethereum becomes more flexible collateral, still at a very high level from even 18 months ago. Another chart, maybe some people are not so aware of, this lightning capacity. This is layer 2 for Bitcoin. Continues to increase at an all-time high today or yesterday, whenever the exact date, but still very strong. Total staked Ethereum, of course, to me just means that people have more confidence in the network. Again, some of this is to do with the merge, post-merge, but you know, tremendous growth numbers. And gas expenditures as well for layer 2s, another market that didn't exist. And you can see fees have moved from 0 to 2 billion. So again, traditional guy looking at all of this, it's massive opportunity in front of us. This one, I don't know, one of my analysts wanted to put this on here. This is, I think we don't need leverage in this world that much. This is just showing that, you know, there is growth in uncollateralized on-chain lending. You know, I'm of two minds of this. I mean, the point here is that there's growth. It's an area, but I think this world is one world where you really don't need leverage. And yeah, but again, everyone can do as they feel like. Here's another one. Developers remain very active. And look, these are the guys who are core to the ecosystem. New downloads of coding kits required to build on ETH. This is, you know, an explosion of growth here. I doubt a movement up in the underlying is going to have that much difference here. Again, 178% growth from 21 to 22. And I suspect this is going to continue because one of the things we've really seen this year is that use cases have exploded. And here you have total smart contracts launched. Again, another confirmation that developers remain super active. These kinds of growth rates, again, phenomenal. And again, total dApps, total decentralized applications in the DAE, as I call it. And remember, to have this kind of growth in all of these areas during a pretty diabolical bear phase, just think about what's going to happen when the bull returns in 6 months from now, 12 months from now. So if you can, you know, if you're debating about whether you should be getting into this ecosystem or doing something in this world, I think now is a pretty good time. Again, this is pretty incredible. We're at the all-time highs now. And then there's this chart here on big data. You know, when I think about blockchains, blockchains for me are, you know, repositories of data, right? That's really all they are. And we have some expectations here for the future, but it just goes to show you that this world of data is enormous, and the growth in the amount of data that is on blockchains continues to go up. And you can see here, look at this phenomenal growth rate in Ethereum. Again, increased number of use cases is just overtaken Bitcoin. Again, the total amount of data that has been captured on blockchains, you can see these growth rates here, and they're continuing today. And this is my last chart. I really didn't have that much to say today. But this is super interesting. What this is the revenue of a company that I'm investing in today. I'm leading the round for this company. They're actually outside, but it's not public yet, so I won't say anything. And I tweaked the numbers a little bit. But this is a company that just had a record month, had a record quarter, one of the few companies that I'm aware of that has more revenue this year than last year. It's a node and API infrastructure business. So even in the, you know, the SBF debacle and all of that, there are still companies out there that are core to the ecosystem that are growing, you know, making a record high in revenue just now last month. And so if you look hard enough and I think dig deep enough into this world, you're going to find that there's tremendous opportunity. And I think just to watch the Bitcoin price or the Solana price, et cetera, at least for us, is really not the right way to capture long-term value. So that's all I have today. I don't know if I have time for a question or two. If not, I'm happy to, that I can share some of these slides with you here. Anything? Okay, go ahead. I can hear you. I don't know that there's a mic, but I can hear you.
Okay, so my question would be, what would it take for you to lose trust in crypto? Because as I see, like you're very
That I would lose what? Faith?
faith in crypto overall. Because you're talking like it's as a certain it's gonna go like always up, and we have the data that supports that. But in your opinion, what should happen for you to lose that trust? You're saying like, okay, this is going completely opposite to what I was expecting, and it's a certainty it's gonna go down now.
Well, I would have to be able to not find charts like this. I would have to, it would have to be that the data was all deteriorating. So it's a very, I don't want to say simple approach, but, I didn't look very hard. This didn't take me very long to put together. So, when I see information that is all leading one way, I think it's a pretty good confirmation that the thesis is right. If it was leaning all the other way, then I would say, okay, well, what's going on? Maybe this isn't such a great growth area. But to have this kind of data in the midst of what we're living through right now is very rare, very rare. So what would it take? Yeah, it would take the data to change. That's all. All right, I think we're done. Thank you for listening.